The following podcast contains spoilers and adult language. Listener discretion is advised.
The Showdown Podcast with Corey and Vic. A debate on what movie is better, Corey's choice versus Vic's choice. They each plead their case and try to destroy the others. It's a combat of subjective opinion. I'm Brad Scott, your impartial judge, and as always, my say is final. Welcome to the Showdown Podcast. This is our drunk as fuck episode. I am your host and referee, Brad Scott. And this week, our defending champion, Corey Miller, Genuine Draft, and his film, Beerfest, takes on Hennessy VIC Miller and his film, World's End.
Smooth, baby, smooth.
There's the... It's just like a Colt 45, baby. All right. Welcome to the Showdown Podcast. That's right. This week, we're all liquored up and talking about drinking movies.
As he takes this drink from his Capri Sun.
I'm sorry?
Oh, Kool-Aid Jammer.
Get it right.
I should know it came out of my fridge.
My Kool-Aid Jammer and vodka. So, no, we're going to be talking about drinking movies. And, Corey, you are the defending champion.
That I am.
So, let's hear from you about Beerfest. Tell us a little bit about Beerfest.
Okay, Beerfest is about two brothers who travel to Germany for Oktoberfest. And they stumble upon a century-old competition described as a fight club with beer games. And what they do is they find out that the guy that's running it is actually wanting to ultimately take over the family business, the brew business in Germany. And these guys are like, wait, no, we're the rightful heirs. We should have that. So not only get thrown out, they get sent. They go back to America, and they can't stand it, so they get their buddies together and decide that they're going to enter this beer competition and take back what is rightfully theirs. This does come from the guys that wrote and directed Super Troopers, as well as Club Dread, and Dukes of Hazzard. Don't hold that against them. And sorry, guys, if you're listening. But this is a very funny movie. It's actually one of those movies that the first time watching, I was like, all right, it wasn't bad. It wasn't Super Troopers, because Super Troopers was one of my favorites, and it's in my top 100. But the more I watch this, especially the more that Comedy Central airs it, the more I love it. And
The more you realize it's a bunch of crap.
A bunch of crap.
Yes.
There's things people take from this, though. I mean, Das Boot. Das Boot, everybody, like the...
Yeah,
that became a big thing. I remember it felt like you saw people playing a lot more, like Flippy Cup and stuff that.
I mean, this thing, like I said, it's a beer drinking competition. So they've got all these different games that they play. They've got the ping pong ball one. Sorry, I'm not a big drinker. I don't know the names
Beer
of these
pong?
things. There you go.
But yeah, what did you call it? Beer ping pong?
Yeah, well, that's what it is. I'm not a big drinker, so these names escape me, and I'm not a hip young dude. I'm almost 40. So you got that. You got Das Boot, as you said, where they have to drink out of a boot, and they figure out
a glass boot. By the way, it's a glass shaped like a boot. It's a big glass,
and it occurs to them how they can do it without spilling the beer all over them.
It's the fishbowl in America.
Yes. Was drinking from a distance was another one where somebody lays down and
what's your worst drunk memory? Worst drunk experience.
I was going to say if it was a worst, I probably wouldn't remember it.
Yeah, what's your worst drunk experience?
Probably the first time I drank.
What happened?
Yeah, I don't remember what exactly I drank. I won't say how old I was either. But I did spend a lot of the night in the bathroom.
Vic?
It wasn't me personally, because I haven't really had a truly horrible drunk experience, thank God. But I was hanging out with some friends and family, and a family member of mine who will remain unmentioned decided that after drinking way too much, he had to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, and got up and walked into the closet and proceeded to urinate on the entire closet. Then wake up the next morning and blame me for it.
Was it his closet?
It was his closet.
To be fair, though, would it
His
have
closet.
been worse if he would have peed on you?
That is true. I mean, I'm like I said, it would have been
Now,
worse.
this will kind of show which of us is the drinker of our group. My worst drinking experience, possibly, and this is just off the top of the head. If I had to actually rank the bad drinking experiences, this may be the worst, but it may not be. Was when myself and my friend Mark got extremely hammered, got into a fist fight with each other in a parking garage downtown, and then proceeded to drive home. Car started to break down, pulled off an exit in front of like this Denny's on the Greenwood exit there that's off to this, the Denny's down there, and popped the hood, arguing about what's wrong with the car, and this black guy comes up to us and he goes, "Hey, your car is on fire." We turn over and my car is engulfed in flames. And my friend Mark takes off. Probably a wise decision.
I really thought you were going to say the black guy robbed you.
No, the police, the black guy went back to Denny's. He came from the The police show up. I go to jail for public intoxication. Right? They couldn't get me on drunk driving because I was like, "Oh, a friend of mine drove but ran away." But I didn't snitch because snitches get stitches.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
And I keep myself clean. But I go to jail for public intoxication. Right? I pass out in the drunk tank, and I wake up. I'm kind of out of it. People are going around and they're saying what they're in for, and they get to me, and I was like, "Public intoxication." And this guy goes, "Was your car on fire?" It was the black guy. What had happened was...
This is the other story.
He's sitting at Denny's, right? And he sees this car on fire and these two idiots arguing in front of a car that's on fire. So he feels like he should be a good person and come let us know. The cops see him walking back from the scene to the Denny's, go ask him and say, "Hey, why did you leave, blah, blah, blah." And it turns out he had warrants.
Oh! So Good Samaritan.
Literally, he's staring at me like it's about to be season 1 of Oz. And all of a sudden I hear Ronald Scott, and I was like, "That is me. That is right here." Absolutely.
That's hilarious.
And by the way, like I said, that's somewhere probably in the top 5, but there could be worse.
And so how did the car catch on fire, and what happened to this friend?
Oh, he's still one of my best friends.
Of course, guys don't have problems with this.
I would have left. I had no problem with that. I have no problem with that. Why? What's the sense in both of us going to jail? Yeah, the car, it just, overheated somehow or something and just caught on fire. I mean, it was an old Honda. So, yeah, I think I paid $200 for it.
Nice.
That's probably why.
I had one of those cars.
So anyhow, tell us what World's End's about.
Pardon me. World's End is about a 40-year-old guy who realizes his life hasn't gone the way he wants, so he wants to relive his glory days of his senior year of high school. So he goes and collects all of his friends from school and brings them back to their hometown to complete the pub crawl that their town is legendary for. And by doing so, thus finishing something that they were never able to do as teenagers. The rest of his friends have moved on with their lives, have families and jobs, and he's that guy who just kind of stuck around the hometown and never left, never made anything of himself. But he was the hot shit of the high school when he was there. They proceed to go from bar to bar and relive their heydays and figure out that this guy really wasn't all that great, that their heyday really wasn't all that great. And then they slowly figure out that there's something wrong as they realize that their town has slowly been commercialized And every one of the bars that they go to is the same exact bar, serving the same exact drinks, and you know how that is. You know, the big box store moves into town and fucks everything up. Then it turns the corner and goes sci-fi. When they figure out that there is an alien entity that has taken over their town and is slowly but surely taking over the people and turning it into a better network of society. And they rail against the machine and eventually defeat the alien that's trying to take over the world and assimilate it into its overall network of perfect little worlds and basically destroy... They cause
so the
giant
alien
EMP.
was trying to make it a better world?
The alien is trying to assimilate the entire world into its network, which they think is the better way of doing things. They don't realize that humans don't like to be subjugated. And they
What
don't
is
like to
their
be enslaved.
idea, though, of a better way of doing things? Was everybody happy?
Oh, no. No, everyone gets turned into a clone. And all the humans are basically gone.
Clone of who?
Of the person that they take over. So they would make a clone of you, but you would be a perfect little citizen, and you disappear.
You would not have that story of your car catching on fire as you're drunk.
Maybe it's the help I need.
Could be.
Maybe that's what I need to turn this whole thing around.
Could
Get
be.
this comedy career off the ground. Just clone me.
So they rail against the machine, as I said, and they end up stopping the takeover of the world. However, in doing so, they create a giant electromagnetic pulse that turns all of humanity off the grid, and they have to learn how to survive in the Dark Ages.
Yeah, see, to me, it's not. This movie isn't so much a drinking movie as it is a sci-fi film with a subplot of drinking. Unlike Beerfest, where it was all about the drinking.
The movie started out with them drinking, continued on with them drinking, ended with them drinking through the entire movie.
Yeah, but the major plot though
is drinking. Is them getting them through.
The aliens.
No, them getting them through the pub crawl is the major plot. That was the whole point of it.
No, that's just the subplot. The aliens were the
aliens were the subplot. You know how this works.
Nope, I disagree.
Tell it like a filmmaker.
Nope, I disagree. I think the aliens are the major plot, and then and the beer drinking is the subplot because they spend the
75% of the movie is spent. Well, sorry, I'd say 55% of the movie is spent on them going back through their childhood years, what they were doing, hanging out, drinking, cutting a fool, doing silly things.
And most of those guys didn't even want to be there in the first place.
Yeah, because they
had already moved on.
But by the end of the movie, what did they all figure out? That it was the best thing.
That half of them were clones.
That was the best thing for them.
To be a clone.
No, they got turned into clones after they got back. They weren't clones originally.
No, I know.
So, according to the Wikipedia synopsis, the film follows a group of friends who discover an alien invasion during an epic pub crawl in their hometown. So it sounds like the alien invasion was the main plot.
And
the pub crawl was the setting, though.
No. During the pub crawl. Not to mention the fact that I need to correct you on one point of yours is they had no idea that they had any kind of legacy of being beer brewers.
Not until they got to that the Fight Club type thing. They didn't know then.
They didn't know then either.
But when they came back, they had a friend that was a scientist and knew how to brew the perfect beer. So that's what got them started, and that's where they started practicing.
That's not what did it either. You missed a whole section of your movie.
No, I didn't.
What was it? How did they find out that they were who they were? The guy you said when they went there.
Yeah, when they were drinking.
Said that they stole their brewery. They had no idea that they had a brewery.
Well, yeah, they found out when they got there.
Later on. Yeah. After they were already back in the U.S. The grandmother told them.
The grandmother told them.
The whole plot of your movie is not correct. The synopsis of your movie is not correct.
Well, that was close. Who was played by Cloris Leachman? Who is awesome.
You're always looking for that one person to throw in there. You're not going to get the whole, what you call them again, like Wildcat. It's not happening.
The what?
You're trying for the Abe Vigoda with Cloris Leachman. Do you have one for it? Is that what you're looking for?
Is Cloris Leachman alive? I don't know if that's a website.
Yeah, she is very much alive.
So, Broken Lizard, though, and I would say that Super Troopers is one of my favorite movies. It rates way up on my list as well. However, that's probably the better movie that they made, even though this one supposedly had better recognition than that one, which I don't think. Because watching this movie over again, which I've seen it a couple times now, I actually greatly enjoyed it the first time I watched it, laughed out loud a bunch of times. The second time I was kind of like, and then this time again I was like, yeah, I'm done. Didn't even get through the whole freaking movie without, because I can remember every last bit of it, but it wasn't fun enough to watch again. It didn't hold up at all.
So yeah, I'm just the total opposite. I think the more I watch it, the more I love it. I don't know if that has anything to do with the fact that I listen to their podcast or not, but I get some more of the jokes now or what. But I just feel that as the more
the same jokes.
They may be the same jokes.
All the same jokes in every move they do.
What? Oh, you're saying in every movie?
Every one of their movies has the same jokes in it.
No, I don't think so.
Let's see. Let's fuck the bear. Let's fuck the puppet. Let's fuck the dead guy. It's all the same set of jokes in every one of their movies.
I don't remember the fucking of the bear
In Super Troopers.
Ah, okay. Well,
the puppet was in this one, and the dead guy was in Club Dread. It's the same jokes. They do it in every one of their things. It's the same thing. However, when you talk about Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, who are much more recognized actors than these guys are, in many ways, shape, and form, but come from the same comedy background as them, but have expanded out way further and are much more popular. And I know you can't deny that. Go ahead.
No,
deny it. I'm just checking.
I'm still listening.
When it comes down to it. And again, Jay is the writer and director of this movie, and Simon is the writer along with, I just lost his name. Wright. Edgar Wright. Who he writes all of his movies along with him and directs them. Again, it comes down to, when it comes to comedy, I think that Broken Lizard has a lot to catch up with to Simon Pegg and Nick Frost.
I don't know. I mean, yes, World's End was, and even Shaun of the Dead, and Hot Fuzz, all great movies. But I don't feel as though if you're gonna talk humor, I don't feel as though those movies. Yes, there is some humor in. I think those are more dramatic with some comedy thrown in. Beerfest, along with Super Troopers, and even Club Dread, comedies, straight comedies.
Calling Hot Fuzz a drama?
Yeah.
What?
Well, like I said, they're more drama with the comedy thrown in it. I don't think it's a straight comedy. That's the way I feel.
I really don't know where
I think that comedy's in the closet.
I think you just don't understand British humor.
Oh, I understand British humor.
Then how are you not finding this fucking funny?
I find stuff funny. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like I said, I think those films are more drama. They're dramedies. They're more drama with their dramas to start with, and then there's comedy sprinkled throughout it.
Wrong.
Well, agree to disagree.
Well, considering one of them is a horror comedy, one of them is a sci-fi comedy, one of them is a comedy. Period. I mean, it doesn't make any sense as you say that they're dramedies in the first place. Because there's no drama in any of those movies.
You don't think there's any drama?
I don't think there's drama in those movies.
With the aliens, hell, you even called World's End sci-fi at the end.
Yeah, so. I just said that. It's a sci-fi comedy. I didn't say it was a sci-fi dramedy.
Okay, well, okay.
That was my point.
This film is a sci-fi film. Hot Fuzz is more of a drama.
We weren't going on them being a comedy. We were going on them being drinking movies.
I'm just saying.
So even if it was a drama...
Ooh, that's a strong point, because I was really leaning towards, Beerfest is a drinking comedy. He can have a drinking sci-fi. I mean, we didn't say it was drinking comedies.
True. That's very true.
It's just our drunk as fuck spectacular.
It's true. But as far as World's End goes...
Drunk as fuck spectacular! I don't know what that was.
I was going to start hitting the boots and caps in a second, but you stopped, so it's all good.
But my original argument was that his movie was not so much based on the beer and the drinking as it is the sci-fi, while mine is all based around drinking.
There is beer in the title of his movie.
There is.
Yes, there is.
But mine's about a pub.
It's about a few, but ultimately it's
And
about
what's a pub?
aliens.
A pub's about drinking.
Aliens.
It's about drinking.
No, well, it's about.
Let's talk
during an alien
about the drinking. Let's talk about the drinking. So let's look at a couple things in your movie that drove me absolutely nuts. The only real draw to your movie was that it showed boobs every 5 minutes. That was the real hook of the movie, not the drinking, not the drinking. If there was anything in that movie, it was them showing boobs that kept you watching the movie.
That didn't happen very often.
What? Okay, so they go to Beerfest. They trip over the guy. They rip off the girl's shirt. She falls backwards and rips off two other girls' shirt. She falls backwards and hits another guy who knocks open the thing of beer, which sprays onto the two girls that are getting the guys that are trying to get him to kiss because it's German girls gone wild and they show their boobs. Then when he's got the beer goggles on and Cherry is sitting there trying to hit on him, she takes him home and they show her boobs the whole time too. Boobs. That's how they kept everyone's attention.
And that's the only time that happened.
That's like 60% of the movie.
And were there boobs in yours?
No.
All right.
Because they didn't need to have boobs in it to keep your attention. They didn't need them to keep your attention.
I think the judge would prefer boobs rather than no boobs.
I will say, The Hollywood Reporter, big screen booze, 15 movies about alcohol. Beerfest is the third one listed.
Big screen what?
Big screen booze.
Booze? Like boo?
No, I think it's B-O-O-Z-E.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. I was thinking booze because that's how as bad as movies.
Yeah.
Oh, if only we gotta cut that part up at some point so we can replay it again in future episodes. Really? Booze?
Booze.
Like plural booing?
Exactly, booze.
15 movies about alcohol. Beerfest is the third one listed. World's End did not make the list.
What number?
But you're not fighting the fight for him.
They're not in a chronology. They're just 15 movies about booze, about alcohol.
Yeah.
But you're not fighting the fight for him, so it doesn't really matter.
No,
you can't swing for him. So when it comes down to it,
pointing out good points by both.
When it comes down to it,
yeah.
Pointing out the good points by both.
So anyway, if we look at the actors in Beerfest, you got the standard group of Broken Lizard guys. Jay Chandrasekhar, Eric Shulhansky, Kevin Heffernan, and Steve Lemmy, and there's one more, Paul Soder. There he is.
What have any of those guys done besides Broken Lizard stuff? Movie-wise.
Heffernan has done a bunch of stuff.
What?
He was in, what is that movie? There's one movie, I can't remember the name of it now. He was just in Agent Carter in an episode.
I said movie.
Okay. You want me to go down through his IMDb list?
No, I want you to tell me something he was in.
Yeah, I mean, if he's calling you out on, and you're like, he's been in plenty, and then you're like, well,
let me give you one of mine. Martin Freeman. What was he in? You know who he is? Bilbo Baggins.
Okay.
Correct? Hold on. Let me give you another one. Patty Considine.
Who was the guy you were talking about?
Heffernan.
Born Ultimatum.
Heffernan was in Strange Wilderness. That's one.
That's your go-to?
Well, that's the one I'm thinking of off the top of my head.
Simon Pegg. Scotty from the new Star Treks.
He was also in Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah, the one that you were just like, unfortunately it was in Dukes of Hazzard. Yeah. Sorry guys. Because that was such a great movie.
He was in Sky High, which is the one I was trying to remember.
Do you know what Sky High is? Are you aware what movie Sky High is?
Yes, I am.
It is a Disney movie about a superhero high school.
Yep.
I meet him with Eddie Marson from Sherlock Holmes, V for Vendetta. I mean, your cast is nothing compared to this movie.
But the thing is, these guys, for the majority, they all do their movies together.
So do these guys. Every one of these guys are in Simon Pegg's movies.
Because
every one of these guys are in Simon Pegg's movies and TV shows.
You mean
every one of them?
You mean Edgar Wright?
No, Simon Pegg writes all the shows too.
Well,
Edgar Wright directs them, but he writes almost. He's written every one of them, and all of these guys have been in his movies.
They aren't in. They're not in Star Trek.
He didn't write that.
You didn't say that.
Yes, I did. I just said that. I literally just said Simon Pegg wrote them. And they're in all the movies that he's in, which meets your requirement.
For writing?
All right, it is commercial time, and I know you're dying to find out where you can catch up with your favorite member of the Showdown podcast. So, Vic, why don't you tell the good people where they can find you?
Oh, by de facto, I'm the favorite member of the podcast? That's fucking, oh, God damn it.
Just getting you out
Just
of the way.
give me one. Just one. Let me have it. Anyway, you can find me at
fought for the
Black,
right to be at the front.
Black and Angry. That's BLAQ and Angry on Xbox. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at MillerKing51. And, Corey?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter and Letterboxd, where I review some movies and give stars for my opinions. And that's at MKO Gonzo.
The one place his opinion matters.
Yeah, but nobody's listening because I have like 9 followers.
And I'm on Twitter and Instagram at IndieBradScott, INDYBRADSCOTT, and on Facebook, click like on comedian Brad Scott. And catch up with the show. We are on Twitter at The Showdown Pod and on Facebook, The Showdown Podcast. You can also find episodes on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you might listen to your podcast. March 7th, you can catch me, it should be this Saturday, at the Downtown Comedy Connection in South Bend, Indiana. Is that right?
Yep.
Yes. And then I have some shows in April that we'll get more details about when I get them, including a private show in Detroit with Television's Dave Landau.
And be sure to drop us a line on Twitter and Facebook, too. Let us know if you have an idea for future episodes. Let us know what you think, or we want to know what you think. So
I'll be happy to fight for your movie.
I might fight for it. It depends.
Haphazardly, I might add.
Yeah.
Also, check out IndieBradScott.com. Coming soon.
Does it have like the little flashers, like the road sign saying
Under construction.
under construction?
No, I don't know what it says now. I don't know. I'm not doing any of it. There's a guy, my buddy Jason, who's great at everything he does, is put it together. I just have to pay for it to go launch or whatever they
I think
call
we
it.
need to do
It's going to be this week.
BradScottIsDead.com too.
Yeah.
Get one started for him just now, so when it's early, he'll have to buy it from
There's a lot of vices. I could. It's the next episode.
He'll be like, damn it, that didn't work out. I got a whole year of this, and he's already gone.
This show is brought to you by no one. Keep listening.
Maybe someday. And back to the show.
We just want to, before we get to the results, we're going to give a few shout-outs to some of the followers we have on social media. Chris Trueblood, who actually does some of the music that you hear throughout the show. Check him out at TruePoc1, which is an amazing Twitter handle. B-Movie Bargain Bin. Hey, it's better than a C-Movie Bargain Bin. Check them out at B-Movie Bargain Bin. The Medium Bus Podcast. They're not quite the short bus, but they're also not, fancy.
They're not the big size.
They're not the fancy
They're not the
long.
big B bus
They're not the big, corporate buses. They're just right. So follow at the Medium Bus, the Projection Booth. It's a Ultimate Movie Podcast, so they're kind of a competitor. So go fuck themselves now. Just follow them at Pro Boothcast at Pro Boothcast, and Krista Filippo. She's got a Puerto Rican-sounding last name. She's 27 years old, and she's a wife and raising an amazing 6-year-old boy who is the love of her life. Give her a follow at Almost Taken 1021, which I don't know what her husband thinks about that. But at Almost Taken 1021, give her a follow. She's very, very sweet, and we appreciate
all of our followers,
everybody on social media. And now for the results of this week's episode, the Drunk as Fuck Spectacular! I gotta say, this was tough.
Because our argument sucked?
Well, I love Beerfest. I love that movie. And I love those guys from Broken Lizard. I think they're hilarious. I've not seen World's End. But I do have a new appreciation of British comedy over like the last year and a half. And British humor in general. But yeah, Corey's argument was just so bad. This week's winner, Hennessy VIC, World's End, takes down Beerfest.
Exactly how was it bad, though?
Your argument?
Yeah.
Well, you closed by making a point that the cast from World's End, Simon Pegg wasn't loyal to them because they also weren't in Star Trek. Even though they were in every other movie he had something to do with.
I didn't get a chance to say the other movies. They weren't Mission Impossible either.
Yeah, you just...
But he didn't write that either. The argument was that he wrote the movies
and you kind of even argued that you almost enjoyed Super Troopers more than you did this movie.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
You kind of did.
Oh, well,
Listen
yeah,
back.
I did. Yeah, that's true. But it doesn't mean that this movie's not better than the other one.
But it's not a strong argument.
In the movie, you dissed the beginning of the movie. You try to throw in as an argument for why your movie was better.
Whatever. Yeah, so Vix...
Black sheep, baby, every time.
What is that?
Black sheep. I figured you
That's
would
your
remember
theme?
this. That's my theme this week.
This week?
This week.
We should have themes. Oh,
Like a weekly thing? Like,
Dude,
change every week?
like our theme music, like to announce when we're here. That way if somebody, like let's say you get injured and you're gone for 4 episodes, but then you can make a comeback in the middle of an episode because we'll play your music and people will be like, oh my God, he's there, it's him. I heard internet rumors he was there.
Like the glass breaking.
Yeah, exactly. So what are we going to talk about this week to close out the episode? I mean, this is just a drinking...
Yeah, it is our drinking episode. I don't personally have too many major drunken escapades, but I'm sure, Brad, you do.
I was working at a bar in Muskegon, Michigan called Cuties. And it's the second time I performed there. And the first time I was there, I got really drunk. I ended up bartending behind the bar. Making people
Where
drinks.
bartending usually happens.
Are you a bartender?
No.
Let's
The
get that
drinks
clear.
were probably like when people would be like, "Oh, I want this and this and this." I'm like, "Oh, you want a Jack and Coke? You want this that's easy to make?"
So you were changing their orders?
Pretty much. So then, I go back. So I had blast the first time. Everybody loved it. I built a very strong following in that one show because they packed every show that they did. It was a small bar, so they could see 90 people. So the next time I'm there, I'm with a gentleman by the name of Mike Dambra, who's Canadian and had been there before as well and had a good following. So we packed the room, and it was people specifically there to see him and I. You know, they start sending me up shots. After like 5 minutes of me being on stage, I had to do 30 minutes. After about 5 minutes, they start sending up shots. And it started off with it'd be like a Jaeger bomb, and then it became straight Jaeger. And this is like every 5 minutes, they're just sending up more tequila and Jaeger at the same time. Then they sent up, twice, they sent up 2 of the little party cups, like little plastic party cups, that were about half full of Sambuca.
Oh, I knew it was coming.
If you don't know what Sambuca is,
Black licorice.
it's it's peppermint. It's Sambuca is it's basically Christmas in your mouth, but it'll also start your car. It's very, very strong peppermint
It's
liquor.
a very popular flaming drink.
Yeah, and it's
Flaming Sambuca.
I drank both of them as shots on stage, and that's when I blacked out. And I don't remember anything after that. I was filled in the next day.
Literally went down on stage.
No. The lights went out, but I was still
Nobody
home.
was home.
Oh.
No, yeah.
You were
Sorry,
working.
excuse me. Yeah, lights were on, but nobody was home. Yeah, but I
You
it
did
was
the
just like
same
an
everywhere.
autopilot because this is all what I was told the next day by the other comedian, by Mike Dambra, and by the bar owner, who I got along with really well. After a certain point, he said you could kind of tell that I checked out, but I finished my set. Apparently, I was fine. I brought up Mike on stage, introduced him. And then I went to the bar, and Mike said that from the stage he could see as soon as I walked down, I went over to the bar, and they had shots lined up for me, and I just took 4 shots right after the other.
So your comedian is so strong that literally blacked out. You did your entire set by muscle memory
No. Well, I
and
didn't black
introduced
out
them.
until 15 or 20 minutes. in. So, I mean, I did like my last 10, and it's basically just because I had done it so
Still,
much.
10 minutes by muscle memory is
Yeah.
pretty, and that's brain muscle if that, not even like...
Well, hold on. Story doesn't end there. Didn't just take the 4 shots, sell some T-shirts, go back to the hotel, and sleep it off. Now, I go to the back of the room where I just kept continuously drinking, and then at some point, I grabbed. I had this backpack I used to take that had like notebooks and stuff in it, and like my camera. I put my backpack on. I walked up onto the stage while Mike was performing and just stood to the side. And he looked at me and he goes, "Are you okay?" And apparently I just shook my head and I was like, "We're out of law." And he was like, "You sure?" And he said I gave him a thumbs up and kept shaking my head. And then he tries to play it off to the crowd. He's like, "Hey, doesn't it freak you out when an Arabic-looking guy walks up to you with a backpack?" And the crowd laughs and everything else. And then apparently I just, he goes, I'm doing a show here, buddy. And then I just walked off to the back of the room.
Was he pissed?
Where I opened up my T-shirt bag, screamed in the middle of the showroom, "I'm going to make it rain in this bitch," and threw shirts into the air. Just threw them up into the air. All my T-shirts. And then apparently I also, apparently they got me outside or something and I was smoking a cigarette for the rest of the show. And then show's over. I went back in. Apparently I projectile vomited all over the bathroom. And I was getting a little rowdy and angry because I couldn't get music to play on the jukebox. That was actually an ATM. I was like, all they got is 50 cents.
I really wish, out of the couple times that I've recorded your stand-up, I wish I would have been there for that night.
Oh my gosh, I wish I would have been there for that night.
And at whatever point, they all have to be going, "We did this."
Well, they got me a cab and sent me back to the hotel. I woke up the next morning with barely any money. I had like $10 on me. And Mike shows up. I ended up going back to the bar and getting my car and everything. And the owner of the bar, this is how much he liked me from the first time I was there. He apologized. He's like, they should have stopped serving, or should have faked the shots. And he's like, here's some money to get you to the next gig. The booker, he talked the booker into not firing me.
I don't have a lot of drinking things myself because I don't drink publicly. It's all social, like just within a group of circle of friends.
It's all at home by myself.
Yeah, sadly. But I was about to.
I don't drink socially. I just drink what they call alcoholically.
Yeah.
Just by myself
in a room
with a loaded gun
and my dog
up to my temple
and one light bulb.
I did spend some time as a bouncer at a nightclub. And one of the funniest things that I saw was this one chick, she's dancing and she's drinking like crazy. And one of the barbacks goes, "This chick should probably get cut off." So we're like, okay, we'll keep an eye on her. The bartender starts trying to stop her. So she starts playing the bar hopping game where she'll go to this bartender. That bartender's been serving her for X amount of time. So she moves over to this one, gets him to over-serve her. Then she moves over to another bar. There's 4 bars in there. They don't pay attention to each other, so we're watching what she's doing. So we're finally like, "You need to stop." And she's like, "I'm fine. Blah, 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 blah. You can't tell me not to drink." We need to cut you off.
She's white, isn't she?
Yeah, oh yeah. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, we're going to have to kick her out. And they're like, okay, well, let's get her out of here. So we go to get her and she grabs her purse and just unloads in this thing. And I'm talking one of those big 2-body purses. She is going for a year in this thing. I was like, oh God, thank God she's got to carry that out of here.
Well, please tell me it's a Gucci purse.
She sets it down and she's looking around to see if anyone saw her do it. Pulls one of those wipe in the mouth with the entire arm thing and slings it over here and then starts hobbling towards the other bar. So one of the other bar guys goes and grabs her and like, "It's time to go." We start escorting her out. One of her friends is like, "What are you doing? Where are you taking her?" He's like, "Well, she's got to go. She's just way past too drunk." So we get her out, and I realized that she left her purse. So I went back to go get it. Well, this is the bad part. It wasn't her purse. Because right as I turned the corner, I stopped and I looked at the bar, and there's this chick going, "What the fuck is going on?" This chick had just blown chunk in this lady's purse. I don't know where she disappeared to, but she just grabbed the first receptacle she could find and had at it.
That's funny.
So I know we were like, I didn't see nothing. I just walked away.
I will say, I did remember one drunken escapade that I had. And
use your words.
Wait, you thought the proper word was going to be escapade?
Yeah. Anyhow,
Does that do that on ice?
yeah. But anyhow, I think it was my birthday. I think we were there for my birthday, and we had already done a little drinking before we went to the bar, and then we go to the bar, and it's karaoke night. So we have a couple of shots. I think I had a couple of shots of turkey, and then was drinking beer as well too, and that's not great, especially when you do them in the wrong order. And so by the time my name gets called for a song that I did not put in, that somebody else did, it was Chocolate Salty Balls from Chef from South Park.
Oh, God.
I was already wasted. I could not remember. First of all, I couldn't hear the song. All I could see were the words on the screen, and those were blurry. And so I'm like trying to remember how the song goes. I can't remember, so I'm like, fuck it. I start singing it like Jim Morrison. So I'm like, chocolates. I was singing it that way through the entire thing. And I guess while I was up there, the waitress told somebody at my table that I was done.
Cut that fool off.
Which was totally fine, because I get done and I'm like, I gotta go to the bathroom. I go to the bathroom, puke all in there, come back out. I'm like sweating. I'm that wasted. I think I'm starting to sober up now that I've done that. And I'm like, we gotta go. It's time to go. So I go outside and I puke some more in the bush. And we leave. I find out the next day, I'm like, did you pay for our drinks? Well, I said, nope. I was like, So we just got all those drinks for free. Because she thought I paid. I'm like, how would I pay? I was too busy puking, so that's my one.
So for future reference, make sure you get your credit card when you get there.
You know what?
Your money before you leave.
we were running a tab, and they didn't even ask for the credit card.
Yeah, well, that's their too.
So that's their fault.
So
yeah, but statute of limitation is run out, so I can't be in trouble for that.
yeah, because I'm sure they've been pursuing, and they just.
And I'm sure they would listen to this show.
So one night, probably this is before my daughter was born, I believe. So probably 2007ish or so, maybe. I don't know. A while back, my cousin had just moved back from Arkansas, and we go out and get hammered one night. Get really, really drunk, right? To the point where, like, it's at this bar where they're doing karaoke, and we're talking to these two girls, and all of a sudden, I just hear them announce my name as, hey, we've got a real-life comedian here who's going to tell you guys some jokes for about 15 minutes. Welcome, Brad Scott. And I'm like, whoa,
Well, they booked you for free?
my name. My cousin went and told the guy running karaoke that I was a comedian, and I would love to do some time.
Oh, nice.
So I go up there. First time in my life I've ever forgotten, like, every joke I've ever... And I'm trying to do them, but I'm not remembering them correctly. And so I'm just a mess, and then I freeze, and I don't know what to say. So they come up and get the mic from me. All right? And I'm like, yeah, that's probably for the best. So we leave. Okay? And apparently, as we left, my cousin grabbed a phone off of a table. Like, presumably the door guy's phone. And it was before smartphones were commonplace. So it was like, oh, it's like a really nice phone, you know. And it could have been some bullshit like LG or something. But anyways, we're driving along, and the phone starts ringing, and I'm like, oh, why do you have two phones? He's like, oh, that's one I grabbed from the bar. So I answer it, and it's the door guy, and I'm like, oh, my cousin accidentally grabbed your phone, and my cousin goes, tell him we want $5,000. Ask him how much that phone means to him. And I'm like, oh, no, okay, he did. Okay, so he took your phone. And so I'm telling Mike, I'm like, dude, no, this is not right. We can't do this. No, I'm gonna tell the guy we're gonna meet him. So my cousin agrees. Fine. He's like, all right. So I'm like, okay, hey, my cousin accidentally grabbed your phone. He was joking about that. We need to meet up and get you your phone. So we agreed to meet at this gas station, right?
Why didn't you just go back to the bar?
Because it was after closing.
Oh.
So we go to this gas station to meet him, right? Pull in. He told us what kind of car he was going to be in. He gets out. I get out with the phone, and I'm walking up to him. I hand him the phone. I go, oh, hey, man, sorry about that. Here you go. And he goes, I'm sorry. And I'm like, what? What is he sorry for? 12 cops stormed onto us. Like, just out of nowhere. Like, we must have been so drunk we didn't see him. Yeah, it really was.
Well, they asked for a ransom.
You'd have thought I had handed him a brick of cocaine as opposed to a shitty smartphone.
And this idiot just
he walks away. They come up and they grab me and they throw me on the ground and cuff us and everything else. And we're just like, what do you guys have on us? And we gave him his phone. I go, oh, because we were jokingly told him we wanted money. And so they ended up taking us in and just holding us downtown.
What did they say?
They took us in for PI because they knew they didn't have anything. They were like, we didn't do anything illegal. Yeah. We accidentally grabbed his cell phone and gave it back, met him to give it back to him. Yeah. Now, granted, my cousin initially in his drunken stupor
thought it was a good idea.
Was treating it like a rich white, 6-year-old. But we came around pretty quickly, and we ended up just spending the night in the drunk tank, and then they let us go that next morning. But I felt like we needed something like that to close out the episode.
Hey, Corey, this one's for you.
Say good night, Popo. Good night, Popo.
Okay.
For you.
It sounded like Winnie the Pooh.
No, that was your fucking movie.
I know, but it sounded like Winnie the Pooh.
It was one of your great actors you had to bring up in your movie.
I said it sounded like Winnie the Pooh. That's all.
Thank you for listening, if you still are. I don't know why you would be. But thank you very much. We appreciate it. And we'll see you guys the next time on the Showdown podcast. That's probably where the music should have came in now.